Alrighty guys, welcome. Today is dyno day. I just measured we're gonna dyno with Ignite E85. We have a 5 gallon canister of that. But then we also got 5 gallon canister of this thing from the pump. So I just checked the E content through the sensor I have in my C7Z, and it's reading out at 72%. So 72% E at the pump is good enough for a 13-to-1 all motor deal. So stay tuned. We are headed over to the dyno. Alrighty guys, check it out. We have just filled up with 5 gallons of E from the pump, measuring at 72% E content. And yeah, here we go. Head to the dyno. This guy right here. Make sure I get him nice and secure. Put his seatbelt on and all that good stuff. There you go. You stay right there. Right there. There you go. All right, guys. I just went ahead and went to the local gas station, which has E85, and the reason why I went specifically and measured with a car that has a flex fuel sensor actively installed is because this motor is going to be a pump E85 motor, and I want to validate the consistency of the ethanol. So this motor, it's a 13-to-1 motor. So with 13-to-1 compression ratio, you want to make sure you have at least, I don't know, somewhere 50-60% ethanol content at a minimum. And so throughout the course of, and I know it fluctuates throughout the year depending on you know, the season and all that stuff, but this pump has consistently shown 72-75% E content year round. So I would feel comfortable with a motor like this if, let's say, we got a bad blend and it was E60 somewhere in there. I'd feel comfortable with at least running it through the system. I'll eventually pick up a manual tester where you can kind of test on the spot at the pump. But anything less than 60% ethanol, I probably wouldn't want to run through this motor. You got to also remember that this motor, eventually, the goal is to spray it on nitrous. So this motor could see upwards of 500 shot of nitrous. Although I'll probably never take it there. More than likely, it'll probably see 250, 300 at the most. So. And that's with the timing locked out. So we just want to make sure that the ethanol is good in the area. So again, I have 5 gallons of Ignite pure E85, and then also I got 5 gallons of the pump 72% E as of right now. So on the way to the dyno facility, and this is going down. I will share the numbers and I will get this up to you guys soon. All right, thanks for tuning in. All right, we're live. And welcome back, guys. So I wanted to kind of finalize the final results on the engine dyno validation testing. I wanted to keep in mind that basically the testing on the motor was multi-faceted. So for one, the most important piece was to validate that the engine was healthy, that it had no leaks, and review all the data on the dyno to validate that the engine was in good health. So to start off, we ran the motor on Ignite E85. The carburetor was an out-of-the-box Holley XP950. The Holley XP950 is their largest E85 carburetor that Holley sells in the 4150 offering. From most of the results and feedback that I've gotten, typically that carburetor is, I don't want to say like a bolt-on out of the box deal, but it typically is good to go or pretty close to it. This carburetor in particular, once it was bolted onto the car, it needed significant tuning. The dyno operator spent a good portion of the day trying to get the carburetor to match up to the engine. It just wasn't receiving a signal the way it should, so we determined that it needs to be sent off to an E85 guru. So I know there's a few of you guys out there in the country who really tune these cars or tune these carburetors for a given motor. I know at first they used a -6 supply and a -8 return, and the motor just wasn't seeing enough fuel. Then they switched to a -8 supply, -10 return. Still, the motor wasn't receiving enough fuel. So eventually, I think more or less just for the sake of getting a dyno run out of the motor and kind of just validating breaking the motor in, he ended up just slapping on an 830 double pumper, and we just ran it on race gas. And with that, it made I think it was 705. Again, these numbers aren't final. This was just for the carburetor that we had. The motor was buzzed up to 8100 RPM. It was asking for 1060 CFM of air, so we know the motor definitely wants more carburetor and more fuel. So hence that's why we sent it out. So I'll share with you guys. Here are the last two pulls, and as you can see, the second to last pull, the motor zipped up to 7900 RPM. As you can see, it made some pretty good numbers. If you look on that air CFM column, you'll see that the motor right around 8000 RPM is asking for almost 1050 CFM of air. And then on the very last pull, we pulled it up to 8100, and the motor was asking for 8100 CFM, or excuse me, the motor was asking for 1060 CFM of air. So again, it was good to run the engine on the dyno. I realized how important it was. I couldn't imagine trying to get a motor like this in the car and then trying to sort out the carburetor while it's in the car. So one thing I did notice was the advantage of running tuning and breaking in an engine on a dyno. It has huge advantages. If there's any issues, any changes, it's always easier to change the motor or change parts, components on the motor before it goes into the car than doing it afterwards. Also, you can validate the health of the motor. So this test was not all conclusive. I know my previous video did kind of set the stage for it being an all conclusive one and done, and if that was the case, I just want to make sure you guys know it wasn't. So maybe I should have said that before. So I do plan on finishing up getting the carburetor work done. Once we get the carb back, we'll get it back on the motor, get the motor back on the dyno, and we will go ahead and see what the final numbers are. So these are just preliminary numbers, but we are happy with what the motor is doing. There was no leaks, and we're really impressed with the air the motor is moving. So just to kind of reiterate, the motor has a 744, 742 lift cam. Duration at 50 is 282, 296 with a 114 lobe separation. So again, this is not It is a street motor to be used on the street, but it's not your typical street motor. We expect it to see somewhere, when it's all said and done, we're expecting the motor to see probably mid to 700s, and it's going behind this one, or this transmission, the T56 Magnum, is going behind a 700 plus, 400 plus inch Windsor, and it'll be street driven. So that's kind of the application that it'll be used in, and so that's kind of the complete piece. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to encourage you guys to like, share, and subscribe. If you guys have any more content or any suggestions of stuff you want to see, let me know. I got good response to my visit at CSM Racing Engines, so I want to give a shout out to them for really just kind of taking me behind the scenes and letting me see cradle to grave the engine building process, as well as the tune and breaking in. And so if there's any more stuff you guys would like to see from them, please chime in. And again, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It's going to help the channel grow. It's going to help me to be able to provide more content for you guys. And we'll see you soon.